Well, sort of related to some of what we're talking about, I think, which is, let's say that I grow up like I did, let's say, learning that it was smart to be independent and it wasn't smart to be dependent. That was my, conditioned history. So I come into adulthood, and it's very likely that I will sort of claim on some level to be in a struggle because I want to give and receive love. I want people to recognize me. I want to feel understood and maybe held or whatever. I just want that sense of feeling like I can be dependent and it'll be safe and stuff like that. But my whole history says, whoa, that's not smart. It's not going to happen, or you'll get, love withheld, or, something bad, so don't do that. And I can convert that very easily, of course, into the fantasy of struggle, where then I claim I'm somebody who's trying to feel loved. I don't get it. I try to be a good person. I'm responsible. I go out of my way to take care of other people. I don't complain, blah, blah, blah. Basically, I do my independent, self-sufficient thing. But I don't feel anybody's there for me. What about me? So I can pretend that I'm in the struggle, but the actual dynamic might be that I think one way of talking about all of this inner struggle is that we have a hope that what we didn't get growing up, to use the Western view, what we didn't get growing up, we can finally get, but we have a fear that if I were to be so stupid as to really rest in that bad things are going to happen, because that was the evidence. So I have to pretend that I'm trying to be this person who is going to be loved, but I have to make sure it never happens. So in Western language, that would be a reenactment pattern, where a lot of times people talk about reenactment as, I'm trying to get the recognition or the love. I'm trying to get the safety. I'm trying to feel that my feelings will be acknowledged, that I can have my voice, I can have my boundaries, blah, blah, blah. But the actual reenactment is I'm trying in ways that guarantee I'll never get it. Because that's the reenactment that as a child, I didn't get it. And that's what I organize my sense of self and my defenses around. And so then I can pretend to be in a state of struggle so that I take care of both sides of this hope and fear. I'm not giving up my hope, but I'm not abandoning my safety of making sure it never happens. So then that's a very stable psychic structure, actually, process that can incorporate almost anything, because it's just sort of so general, so basic. And from a Buddhist point of view, this stabilized struggle could be understood as one way of viewing the fundamental, not the most basic, but the fundamental protection of self-absorption. That when I'm in a state of struggle, the rest of the world is sort of off something else, because I'm me, like that. And so anytime there's a struggle, if we want, one way of investigating that is to ask, well, what is it I don't want to feel? Because that's usually going to create more problems than what I hope to feel. That's usually more positive. And so in this case, it might mean for me, I'm going to practice feeling that I let myself be dependent, and then I'm abandoned, then nobody's there, then I'm exploited, whatever the drama is. And I'm just going to keep coming back to that, like sensation level experience, over and over and over again. So I gradually start holding both the hope and the fear as equally valid. And I'm ready to feel either, which it's sort of hard to have a struggle if I'm ready to feel both. Struggle requires this polarization where I have a fantasy that there's this big outcome at risk, at stake. This is really serious stuff. Does that make any sense, or do you?
Yeah. I guess I'm wondering. It seems like the hope and fear is like that paradigm is a way that we maintain our identity. So
Yeah,
and they're always flipping. Um,
it's one of many ways. We're very creative, so it's not. We don't rely on just one strategy.
yeah. So there. So is there? What is the? Well, is there a resolution? Is there no resolution? There's always this sense of going from hope and fear. Because for me, it seems like with certain things in my life, I'll fall into hope and fear, and then there's
But
and then there's
you don't fall into it. You choose to do it unconsciously, I would say.
yeah. Well,
I'm not responsible if I fall into it, so there's nothing I can do about it.
Interesting. Yeah, well, I guess if I'm not seeing it right unconsciously, that means the ego is not seeing it.
Well, we have to see something to avoid it, though.
Hmm.
We can't avoid something that we're not aware of.
So, is there ways that we of things are well? If you're unconsciously avoiding something, you're still avoiding it.
Well, you have to be aware of it to avoid it. Yes, so that's why I like use the language of pretending. We're pretending to avoid something. We're pretending not to be aware of it. I prefer that, but a lot of people don't like it because consciously they don't have that feeling, and so they can claim, "Well, I'm not responsible for it because I'm not aware of it." You know.
Yeah. To not be choosing hope or fear, um, there has to be like a complete openness for whatever is going to arise.
Along a continuum, it's not all or nothing. Yeah.
Yeah. For myself, I see that there's, times where I'm choosing, right, or falling, or, you choosing hope or fear. But then there's times where that kind of paradigm seems to dissolve and there's more of just a openness. And I guess in that space, there's more of a sense of gratitude like that. I think in our culture, there's, hope is like a big thing. Like to have hope, it's like we should always never lose hope. Like there's a thing of never losing hope, and I guess in the difficult situations in my own life that kind of seem maybe unresolvable, and
It's very helpful. It's very helpful at that level of experiencing. If somebody's very identified with experience, better to have hope than despair. But if somebody starts to see through the apparent solidity of one's experiencing, at some point it sort of, like a lot of other things, it sort of starts to become a little counterproductive to keep investing in one side of a dualistic experience.
Yeah, it makes sense. It's just interesting to watch myself choose that or to be in that paradigm of hope and fear and then kind of stepping outside of it. And the more I step outside of it, then you kind of see the futility of that paradigm of hope and fear.
Yes, and you could consider having gratitude toward that struggle, not just gratitude only when you give up the struggle, because that struggle, I would say, is once again one expression of our best effort to take the best care of ourselves possible, which I think we're doing every second of our lives.
Yeah. So that in a sense, there's like in what you're saying, it feels like there's like an acceptance. There's never a pathology. There's never something wrong. It's everybody's kind of trying their best, even if, what they're doing is creating suffering for them or others.
Yes, I certainly couldn't prove that. So I think, as we said earlier, I think various theories are best understood as being in alignment with or supporting certain intentions. So if somebody has the intention of basically dissolving their fantasy of being alienated from life, I think it's helpful to take on a variety of practices, views, philosophies that basically say yes to everything. It doesn't mean behave that way. It doesn't mean don't protect yourself from a perpetrator. It just means, as an attitude, as an inner practice, say yes, which is connecting, dissolving of the fantasy of alienation, rather than this is healthy and this is pathological, which perpetuates dualistic states of mind, really.
Very interesting. Yeah. Hmm.